Hello and welcome back to another news video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. Today we're looking at Dengeki Online's latest interview with Naoki Yoshida, the producer and director of Final Fantasy XIV, talking about patch 6.4, looking for any little bits of information. Now bear in mind this is obviously not in English natively. We've used Google Translate for this, so we're going to have to take everything with a bit of a pinch of salt. So citations needed for any factual stuff, and we might accidentally take things out of context. So we're going to be, approaching this gently, but it's still quite a bit in here, having a little bit of a preview read before I decided to start filming this. So let's read through this. So this will be in a link in the description if you want to come and read this yourself. In 6.4, the main story related to the 13th World Void is a confrontation with Golbez. Yes, and everyone's waiting for that. So let's have a look at this. Please tell us about the intention behind the patch title Sinner and the Sinner of the Throne, which of course is not the title in our version, and the highlights in the main story and the Battle of Golbez that will occur in it. In a previous story, it was said that the story surrounding the Void would come to an end in the 6.x series, but this time it will finally develop towards the climax, and the development beyond that will be faintly visible. I think that was a question. Yoshi says, we decided to consider this patch 6.4 and the next patch 6.5 as paired titles. In 6.4, the throne that Golbez has been sitting on has been laid out straight, and we have presented it in an easy to understand manner what the criminal refers to, i.e. what the villain is, what actions correspond to it, and future developments. After clearing 6.4, I think it would be interesting to reconsider its meaning. I think that the development of the 6.x series will start to look vague, but I don't think I can predict it yet. Laughs. Or at least maybe this is taken out of context, maybe we can't talk about it yet, which is more likely. So yeah, 6.4 has a main villain. In that regard, we kind of knew it's a basic storyline with a real villain, which is, the whole premise behind this, which is one of the reasons why they didn't put hidden or censored or redacted as the title of the actual trial itself in this patch. They just went out and said it and put it on both their special site as well as on the live letter. So yeah, nothing too hidden here. They say, please tell us about the highlights of a new raid, Bandamen. Oh wow, that's interesting. So they're talking about the new Abyssos, the new Pandemonium. Is Bandimon Hall Pandemonium Type 0. That's interesting. So anyway, so this is Basios, isn't it? Both in terms of story and battle. Also, just like last time, Type 0 will be released 1 week after patch 6.4. I believe Type 0 must be the word for Savage, which is, obviously Savage is released 1 week later. Yoshi P says, as the story is finally reaching its climax, we've collected all of the foreshadowing, both big and small. I wonder if it will be there as a highlight. In a sense, the 6.0 quest was intentionally left untouched, so I think you can enjoy it as a 6.0 after story. As a battle, it's a final chapter, so we're aiming for content that's as crunchy as the Pandemonium series. So, crunchy. This translation's fantastic, isn't it? Thank you, Google. So basically, it's going to be as good as Abyssos, probably. Since the last time, we have decided to delay the release of Savage by a week from the major update, but the feedback from the players has been very positive. Regarding the so-called new style equipment crafted by crafters, the feedback was quite polarizing, saying that it sold more than before and that it didn't sell as well. We analyzed server market data by data center on confirmed trends. Since the data has only been collected once, we intend to verify the economic data together with the feedback. So I think most people are probably just, I don't know. If you asked 1 million people what they thought about the crafting stuff, I don't think many people would say that it's a bad thing, but who knows? I personally thought it was fine. It just sort of helps you get that extra leg up towards doing the actual, Savage content itself, makes things a little bit simpler. But at the end of the day, you still need to learn the fights, and we're still in PA test personally, so there we go. Next question. There will be many updates for Uninhabited Island, so Island Sanctuary development. Also, will the updates for Uninhabited Island continue in the 6.x series beyond series and beyond, even into the 7.x series? This is a good question. Yoshi P says, whether it's for fun or as an update, the biggest point is that it's possible to place garden furniture in the activity base at a hideaway. Originally, one of the reasons for planning this Uninhabited Island content was that we wanted to meet the demand of those who cannot own a house due to chronic land shortages, or who do not have a garden in an apartment room. Also, I want to free range my minions, quote unquote. We knew that it would take several years or more to realize these within the framework of housing, quotation, even if it was possible in terms of processing due to the lack of land in the first place. That's why with the new content style of Uninhabited Island development, it will be possible to build a system from the initial design with the aim of realizing them. Although it is not a housing, I've been thinking that I can achieve what I want to do this time. The base is large, so 90 garden placement items can be placed. Please try various things. There is a possibility that we'll update the Uninhabited Islands in the future, but we will be concentrating development on the next expansion package first, so please refrain from making any statements at this time, end quote. So even though that's Google Translate butchering that, we can kind of get the basic idea. So the idea was to answer to tick the box of people who cannot access housing, and that's the biggest thing. And I think this does answer a large portion of that. The main sort of goal for Final Fantasy XIV, at least what it appears to be from a development team, is to have the apartment system as that backup that's more freely available to players to purchase and use as a place to store their indoors items. And the Island Sanctuary kind of will act in 6.4 as a way of you using those outdoors items and giving you the impression of sort of like a house, but not quite. Although 90 placement items is huge, to be perfectly honest, but I'm sure people, including myself, will complain not long after it's out that we've run out of space. It's the nature of things. Next question. In the 2 stages of Mandeville weapons so far, you have used Allegan tomestones to exchange necessary items, but will patch 6.45 be the same, or will it be a new process? This is a very interesting question. Yoshi P says, as expected, I don't want to say this is what I will collect before implementation, so let me refrain from talking about it, he laughs. Since the intention is to be able to strengthen at the same time as you are, there will be no major changes, so please rest assured about that. So no major changes, so I guess we might be doing like dungeons for things. We might still have another tome farming thing. I'm not sure what to take from that. Again, this isn't a very good translation, it is just Google Translate, but from what I'm reading here, it looks like we might be getting either more of the same or a very minor, maybe a minor grind if there are no major changes. So maybe we can run in parallel in comparison to previous relic weapons as well, which doesn't work very well these days, because previous relic weapons, the most recent of which with the resistance weapons, had their own separate piece of content, right? But we don't have that this time. So I guess there's definitely no Eureka or that kind of Bosja or Zadnor style content this time around. Based on feedback from players so far regarding the 3 difficulty levels, normal, Iban type 0, so normal, savage. Oh, right. And so basically story mode, normal, and savage mode, criterion dungeons. I get it. And variant. They call it another dungeon Rockonton. Interesting. It's called, I think, Mount Rockon, the new one, coming in 6.45. Please let us know if there are any changes or evolutions from the last time. Yoshi P says the Mount Rockon implemented this time has 3 difficulty levels, just like the last time. That said, the puzzles are more elaborate, so please enjoy exchanging information. I think it's time to start playing more and more as series content without making too many changes. So I guess it's more of the same, but expect a few other possible challenges. Maybe they'll have some, objectives that require you to read something. They like to do this sort of breadcrumb quests in the actual game, so it'd be interesting to see if they did like, well, you've got this information on the Pantheon. What was the goddess responsible for cheese, that kind of thing, and then you'd press the cheese button. There isn't a goddess of cheese, sadly, unfortunately, although Menfina comes close. With 6.5, the Blue Mage update will be performed for the first time in about 2.5 years. That is crazy to think about. Will there also be Blue Magic implementation that will change the way you fight? Also, if possible, please tell us more about the future of Blue Mage after 6.45 and the possibility of adding limited jobs. This is a very good question. Yoshi P says, since the level cap has been lifted, there are of course interesting blue spells available, but I would be happy if everyone could come up with ideas on how to use them. As for the Blue Mage, of course, we'll continue to update it in the future 7.x series. I have some ideas for other limited jobs, but there are a lot of man hours and I'm not sure when I'll start working on them. Even if there is, it will likely be a while yet. I think that's a fair point. Personally, in my own opinion, as a content creator, I would like to see them flesh out Blue Mage even further before implementing other limited jobs. That's my own personal opinion. I think there needs to be more content for that. But yeah, they're not saying never. So yeah, and they really, Yoshi P didn't go into any real detail. We're not going to see that from an interview like this, but hopefully there are some game-changing sort of abilities, because we certainly could require some. So it says, from now on, 6.4 in late May, Fan Festival in Las Vegas in July, Shinsei 10th anniversary and fireworks event in August, London in October Fan Festival, and Fan Festival in Tokyo in January next year. And Final Fantasy XIV third development division will continue to develop. We would appreciate it if you could give us a message to the players about those highlights, especially in 6.4, which will be the start. I'm not sure what they're asking here. Are you talking about like the future and what the updates might be? Interesting. Let's read. Yoshi P says there's also the Tokyo Game Show, Gamescom, and a new 10th anniversary project, which is yet to be announced. But, oh yeah, they mentioned this before. They teased something big, right? So, especially for the management team, the workload is overwhelming. But we are preparing so that everyone can enjoy it both inside and outside the game. So please look forward to future announcements. Also, from 6.4 onwards, the entire year will be full of measures for 14. It goes without saying for veteran Warriors of Light, but for those who haven't played 14 yet, I think you'll be able to enjoy it as a fresh game, but it's hard to believe it's the game's 10th anniversary, so please invite your friends and family. I would be happy if you could visit the world of Eorzea again. So there's not a lot of meat and potatoes to be taken from this, but there are certainly some elements since we've had quite a drought without any real interviews. I think it's fair to say. I'm a little bit concerned about the relic stages, but it's a small thing in the grand scheme of things. But I am interested to see how they're going to work that in. Personally, again, in my opinion, I'm looking forward to some kind of grind, even if that's just doing dungeons or something, or incentivized content with the previous content that's already been in the game, a light stage or something like that. But it might be that they lean towards more elegant tomestones. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess, but it's a very interesting answer. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with Mount Rockon, of course, with Criterion mode and the story and normal mode. I've not actually done Criterion mode myself. We basically just bought the mount instead of going to do it. So maybe lock more things behind that and make me do it. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do, and this idea of more challenging content, or at least, more puzzle related stuff that it's inclined towards, at least if we can believe this badly translated Google Translate version of the Dengeki Online interview. It's shaping up to be interesting. But yeah, the Dark Throne is coming out late May. We still don't have a date. We should get a date for the release of this in the next live letter, which is just around the corner. So yeah, link in the description. Let me know what you think about this. Personally, my question to you is, are you happy with just having another tombstone stage, or do you personally want a grind of some description? Let me know what you think below, whether you think it's too grindy as it is, which might not be a very big opinion, or if you want more, like me, you don't mind doing something, especially with the fact we don't have a field instance associated with it this time. Anyway, much love. Enjoy the rest of your day. More Final Fantasy XIV content upcoming and more. And I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.